too, yes.
Something like that.
So if you know this, and I know you do, Mello and I would like to sing it with you. Come on in, we welcome you. Come on in, we welcome you. Let go, be free. Come on in and take a seat. We're glad you're here. We're spreading love, joy, and cheer. So come on in, come on in,
Come on in.
come on in. We welcome you. Come on in,
Well,
come on in,
we will.
come on in. We welcome you. Let go, be free. Come on in and take a seat. We're glad you're here. We're spreading love, joy, and cheer. So come on in,
Come on in.
come on in,
Come on in.
come on in. We welcome you. Come on in,
Come on in.
come on in,
Come on in.
come on in. We welcome you. Come on in,
Come on in.
come on in,
Come on in.
come on in. We welcome you. Come on in,
Come on in.
come on in,
Come on in.
come on in. We welcome you. Come on in. Oh, I tell you, when I can get my little niece down here to sing this song, which is the first time I heard it, it didn't sound like that mellow. It was very pretty. But it was the revealing song. And it sure opened me up. So please allow it to open you even more. Reveal, reveal the love inside of me. Reveal the love that I was meant to be. Every time I open up, love is what I see. Reveal the love in me. Reveal, reveal the peace inside of me. Reveal the peace that I was meant to be. Every time I open up, peace is what I see. Reveal the peace in me. Reveal, reveal the joy inside of me. Reveal the joy that I was meant to be. Every time I open up, joy is what I see. Reveal the joy in me. Reveal, reveal the love inside of me. Come on, reveal the love that I was meant to be. Every time I open up, love is what I see. And every time I open up, peace is what I see. Joy. Every time I open up, joy is what I see. Reveal the love. Reveal the love in me.
Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Jim. As always, wonderful welcome. So let's take that into a space that we can create for ourselves and unify in that this evening. Knowing full well that the power and the presence of God is here, right now. Full, rich, vibrant, loving, caring, guiding and supporting each of us, each time, each place, each person, each decision to be here is the perfection of God, for God is everywhere. The God life is here, for it is the only life, and that life is lived in each one here. And the perfection and the beauty of that overflows and exudes an exuberation that is wondrous for all. And so as we prepare in this moment for this message and the energy of togetherness and communion with God and the divine mind, we simply feel the ease and the grace in that, feel the love in that, and I know in my heart that everything is exactly where it needs to be. And so I simply walk into that and breathe that and love that and say, and so it is. Hello, everyone. This mic's a little different, so I'm going to have to figure out a different one here. I'm Jan Hartman. I'm a practitioner here at Seaside, and tonight we are beginning the second Wednesday revealing service with the lovely theme of, wow, phew, it's hot in here. From the book, The Eye of the Storm, Embracing Conflict and Creating Peace by Gary Simmons. And so we're in this little second part of the episode tonight. And I wanted to read something to you. Since last week we talked a little bit about resistance, I wanted to talk from Gary Zukav's Spiritual Partnership book for just a minute about how we move into our relationships and our communication with each other. And he has communication guidelines that he calls conscious guidelines. And the first one is to consult your intuition. Intuition is access to compassion and wisdom that is beyond what we are able to give one another. It is communication with non-physical guides and teachers whose only interest is your spiritual growth. The first part of accessing intuition is to ask a question. The second part is to listen for the answer. The answer will always come, although perhaps not in the way or at the time that you expect. When you ask, what would be the most appropriate way that I do what I want to do, you will always have insights. Your answer might come while you're in the shower, out for a walk, or driving to work. It may not be what you want to hear. Answers that come from your intuition will often surprise you. Your intellect will always rationalize what you want to do. Intuitive insights are not directives, instructions, or commandments. Your non-physical teachers will not tell you what to do. They will lead you to the full scope and depth of your creative capacity, help you see your options that you have not thought about, and consider the consequences that each one will create. Only you can decide how you will use your will to shape energy into matter, what karma you will create. Responsibility for your choices is always yours alone, no matter whom you consult in the process of making them, including your non-physical teachers. So intuition, choose your intuition. So without further ado, we managed to lovingly fly through you talking to me last week. And this week it's My New BFF. So please help me bring Sunshine up here so that we can get this message a-going.
Thank you, Jan. Good evening, everybody. What a great, great prayer. Appreciate being able to just kind of be in it and just know that everything is unfolding in a divine way. Okay, my new BFF. BFF, you know, ever since we've had cell phones and texting, shorthand has come back up, you know? Back in the day, there was shorthand and these squiggly lines, and now the way we communicate with each other is through 3 letters, 4 letters, things of that nature. So, for those of you who haven't caught up with the times yet, BFF, best friend forever. So my new best friend forever is my talk title tonight. It is a new talk title because I've never used it before. And what we get to explore tonight, as we continue to uncover and discover Gary Simmons' writing in The Eye of the Storm, and his play on words, the I, not meaning the E-Y-E, but the I, the me of the storm, managing conflict and creating peace, he talks to us a lot about how conflicts arise in our life and where they're coming from. Thus, our theme for the month of, it's hot in here, because even though for the last 2 Wednesdays it's been gray and it hasn't really been hot, what I hope is that it gets hot in here. And that we begin to uncover and discover the ways that we are living inauthentically. That we begin to discover what it is about us that wants to people please, what it is about us that wants everything to be okay, and how we shortchange ourselves in an effort to fit into what society thinks or what society tells you is okay, what is acceptable, how women should act, how men should act, how young children should act, how adults should act, how we fit into this status quo and how we fit into and try to fit into mediocrity instead of really living our true self and our divine self and living from a place of authenticity. You see, it is until we recognize all the places where we're inauthentic can we really then begin to look at the steps that it takes to really live our full potential. Our full, authentic life, our genuine life. This week, when I talk about my BFF, he talks about making friends with conflict. And first of all, nobody wants to do that. I don't think that anybody, is sitting at home as a young child thinking, when I grow up, I want my best friend to be conflict. I want my best friend to be anxiety and all of the things that come with conflict. And yet, there is something so unique about his perception and the way he looks at becoming friends or befriending conflict and what it brings to us if we're courageous enough to look at it. If indeed we step into this place of there is nothing that is opposing me, so therefore when there is conflict in my life, it's not opposing me, but it is indeed here for a reason. It is indeed here to teach me a lesson, that there is an energetic about conflict that is for my higher good, should I choose to see it. But most of the times, how most of us react is we run from it. We fear it. We want to shut the door on it. We don't want to address it. We lie about it. How you doing? Oh, I'm fine. Liar, liar, pants on fire. How's things going? Oh, everything is great. And I'm all for affirming. I'm all for putting out energetically what it is that we want to receive. I'm into that, 100%, totally. And yet, there's an area of it that unless we're really, really careful, where we're treading the line of being inauthentic with ourselves. And energetically, what that begins to cause is more and more turmoil, more and more chaos, more and more stress, more and more strife in our life. So, where is it that you experience conflict? That energetic, that feeling tone where the patterns are incongruent, where maybe you know that a relationship is changing or shifting or coming to an end, but you don't want to let go. Maybe a job or a situation in life arises, and it is there begging and pleading for your attention, and yet you ignore it like it's a big elephant in the room, but nobody wants to talk about it. What part of your life is calling for your attention over and over again, but you have no time to deal with it? When we live from that place, we're allowing fear and the energetic of fear to run our life. When we live from that place, we're allowing doubt, lack, limitation, mistrust to live in, through, and as us, and it is not who we are. In the chapter, Making Friends with Conflict, this week, Gary Simmons talks about being a young boy and taking the long way home from school. And he does this because there's another boy in school who every time he sees him, puts him in a headlock, takes his money, and just treats him poorly. Gary talks about going through the alleyways and going behind Safeway and taking, all these different routes home in order to avoid this boy after school. But inevitably, they cross paths, and the same thing happens over and over again. Until finally, Gary decides, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. How many of you have done that? I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going to stand up to this person. I'm going to tell her how I really feel. I'm not going to sit quietly anymore. Well, he had come to that conclusion himself. And what happens is that one day, unexpectedly, here comes this boy again, and there's Gary knocked to the ground. And he remembers his promise to himself. I'm not going to let this happen again. So he gets up, and he punches the boy in the face. And the boy falls to the ground, and now is a good time for Gary to run. So he hightails it out of there. When he gets home, he realizes what a coward he's been. Because when he runs and goes through the alley, he's behaving in a cowardly way. And when he acts violently, again, he thought he would feel differently, but he didn't. That same feeling comes up. So what's the solution here? What's the solution? Because so many times we think, I've been a doormat. People have walked all over me. There's been conflict in my life. I'm not going to let this person or that person take advantage of me anymore. I'm going to show him. I'm going to show her. I'm going to tell them what I really think and feel. And by the time all of that energetic boils up inside of us and we get in that situation, bleh, we're saying stuff we don't really want to say. They're messy. We're messy. It just never turns out the way that somehow in our fantasy mind we think it's going to work out when we don't really address the situation, when we don't really look at the conflict as an opportunity for growth, where we don't really look at the conflict as it knocking on our door because we have made some agreement with the universe, with life, with our spirit, with our soul. We've made an agreement by coming here, by coming each and every week, by reading our spiritual books, by engaging in some spiritual practice. We've made a promise to ourselves that we wanted to become awake, alert, and aware. And when conflict comes up for us, that is the way life conspires on our behalf. And the word conspires in Latin means brings together. That is the way life brings together our good. It is the way it shows us that there's something within us that needs a little tweaking. Something that is not authentic, something that needs to be resolved, that somewhere within us we're acting from a place of inauthenticity, that we're acting from a place of fear, of lack, of limitation, where we're living from a place of separation, where we believe that there's an us and a them, or that there's even something opposing us. Stop it. Stop it right now. Life presents these situations, these imbalances for us as a reflection of where we are. It is simply a way of saying, hey, look at this. And instead of the bleh all over folks, there's another way. The way of making conflict our friend. I don't know if we would go as far as our new BFF, best friend forever, but maybe even just imagining for a moment and taking small steps that maybe there is something in this conflict that is for my highest good, and beginning to take a look and have it be part of my psyche, have it be part of the way I think and the way I normally respond and react, that this must be for my good. The thing is that anytime conflict arises, we run, or we think this cannot be good. This is going to take me out of what I'm used to, what I'm comfortable with, what I like, or what society tells me is good for me. When indeed, I know that deep down within me that there is something off, especially energetically, about living in mediocrity. We're not here to live in mediocrity. We're here to shine the light that God is. We're here to shine it so brightly that others are attracted to it and they want to know. And we simply illuminate that light so that they might see and know their own light. But how can we do that when we're lying to ourselves, when we lie to others, when we allow conflict to keep us small and to keep us back and to hold us at bay? He talks about a little boy who was just about to get his black belt. And here's the solution. And maybe this is what I'd like to offer you in terms of where we begin to think from. Gary tells a story about a little boy who's about to receive his black belt. Now, just like I tell you, there's no real magic in what we do. Just because, we do affirmative prayer, it's not like there's some magic in it and it magically appears. It's our state of perception. It's our state of consciousness. It's a divine knowing. And so Gary, in his infinite wisdom, of course, tells his students, and especially this 9-year-old, as he's about to get his black belt, that there's no magic in the black belt itself, but ask why this black belt is important to him. And the little kid says, when I was younger, I would run or fight. With this black belt, I know that I can just walk away. A 9-year-old, out of the mouths of babes, we learn our greatest lessons. So recognize that I don't have to run. I don't have to act violently. I can simply stand in my truth, be confident, be at my center, and walk away. There is this idea of defenselessness. When I live from a place that there is nothing opposing me, then I have no need to defend myself or defend others or defend my point of view. But indeed, when I'm living from a place of defenselessness, there is this place within me that is at ease, that is confident, that is knowing that right where I am, God is. Right where you are, God is. And there is absolutely a way that this is going to come together, not just for my own highest good, but for the highest good of all. And that's a new way of looking at it. That's a different way of approaching conflict. Because sure enough, whether you're married or in a relationship, or whether you work, or whether you have family, conflict always arises. There's always something that brings us to that place. And if we just stop for a moment to recognize that maybe our BFF has been misperception. You know her, misperception. Maybe that's been our BFF for a while. Because when conflict arises, if I have a conflict with you, if I have a situation with you, it's almost like I'm seeing life and I'm seeing the situation with a fencing mask on, just through these little holes. And really, I'm saving face, right? Really, I cannot see the entire picture, but it's very personal to me, and it's the filters in which I see life. It's misperception. I don't really have a full view of it at all. And that misperception or that perception can be based on our race, our gender, whether we had a good day, whether we had a not so good day, whether we got that raise we wanted, whether someone kissed us goodbye or not, whether somebody cut us off, whatever it is, it's skewed. Our perception is skewed. And at that very moment, instead of trying to be right, instead of trying to get my point across, instead of it having to be my way, instead of me seeing this conflict as dangerous, I can see that this is an opportunity for my growth. I can take a moment and take a step back and do what has been labeled a set-aside prayer. Does anybody know the set-aside prayer? Set-aside prayer. Just simply ask my higher self to help me set aside what I think I know about this situation, what I think I know about this person that I'm in conflict with, what I think the outcome is going to be, whatever it is I think. I'm asking my higher self, I'm asking my higher power, I'm asking this internal presence that is living in, through, and as me, that has never been hurt, harmed, or touched, that has always known itself and is clearly wanting to know itself and see itself from a grand perspective. I'm asking this self right here to set aside what I think I know and to become open to a greater awakening and a greater understanding. But where must we be in consciousness in order to be in the thick of a conflict, or maybe even in the thick of an argument or the thick of a disagreement? Where must we be spiritually and energetically to pause? Wait a minute, let me stop arguing with you. Wait a minute. Okay, let me set aside what I think I know about this situation, what I think I know about this person, what I think the outcome is going to be. Let me set it aside right now so that I may understand and be awakened to a greater truth and a greater understanding. Ooh. I must be at a place in my own spiritual practice, in my own life, in my own consciousness, to be able to pause, to be able to recognize that I may be acting from a place of fear, that my BFF at that particular point might be my own misperception about this situation, and I get to step back and make my BFF this opportunity for growth, make my BFF the God within me, life within me, love within me, joy within me, really recognize my BFF, really connect and commune in spirit on a regular basis so that when these conflicts arise, that I can move into that set aside. Or that I might know that I'm acting from a place of fear and go, stop it right now. Om. Om. Can we just om for a moment here, you know? Where are we, and how can we get to that place in our own spiritual practice that when conflict arises, that we can just pause and go into that place, that deep place of knowing that right where I am, that the life that God is. That it is expressing in, through, and as me, and that this opportunity for growth, this opportunity to recognize that I've been acting and living from a place of fear, where I've been a fake, a phony, and a fraud. Oh, did I say that? Where I've been a fake, a phony, and a fraud, living like I'm spiritual, or like I have a spiritual practice, or like everything is fine, just fine. And it's inauthentic. We are designed to live full out. We're designed to shine who we are. There's nothing to be afraid of when you tell your friend, I really don't like it when you call me out of my name like that. Instead of being called fool every time you're in his or her presence. I really don't like it when you disrespect the person that I love. It really makes me uncomfortable when you continue to take money out of my wallet and you didn't ask for it. I am not okay with you shortchanging me. I'm not okay with, we say we're going to meet at 8:30 and it's 9 o'clock by the time you get over here. Okay, don't put your hands on your hip when you say that. Just saying. What is it about us that stops us from simply having these courageous conversations? And if we're afraid that we're going to lose the friendship, then what was it really to start with? What is losing the love that was never really there, but maybe just a fantasy in our own mind, compared to coming together and working it out? Compared to saying, wow, I never realized that I was doing that. Or I was not aware that that was hurting you. My friend, that was never my intention. I'm going to check myself on that. I'm going to take a look at that. We must begin to have these conversations with one another, not from a place of self-righteous behavior, which is violent, equivalent to punching the guy in the face, and not from a place of fear of running away, but from a place of being centered, of knowing our truth, knowing my truth, knowing your truth, that it's the same truth, that right where we are, God is. By being so steeped in our daily spiritual practice in order to have that. Consciousness is cause. Consciousness is cause. So if we are living and being and having the content of our consciousness be about fear, no wonder there's so much mess. And the causation, what it's causing, is so much minutia in our life. But as we begin to really delve into our spiritual practice, really begin to awaken to the truth of who we are, we begin to then really have these conversations and create peace from what is known as conflict. That our new BFF is not only God within, God everywhere, God as us, but that we recognize that the conflict is a gift. That we might look at these areas in our life that need just a little tweaking, just a little bit of sweeping and getting that up and out of the way. That we might have been courting misperception instead of the great reality. And so, part of the practice is our meditation. Part of the practice is our quiet time. In his book, he gives us homework at the end of every chapter. So if you haven't picked up the book yet, you might want to, maybe not. If you like what you're getting, keep doing what you're doing. If you're ready for a change, if you're ready to grow a little bit more and really take a look at how these conflicts are really opportunities to bloom and to shine and to be rid of mediocrity and really allow life, that perfect, genuine, divine, abundant, peaceful, harmonious, clear, creative, loving, joy-filled life, if that's what we want, then we get to do a little something. And it's in our spiritual practice. So let's go within for a little bit. Let's just take a few minutes in the silence. And the work that needs to happen in the silence is simply an anchoring within us of the truth that right where I am, God is. That right where I am, love is. That right where I am, peace and joy and abundance is. That which is true of God is true of me, for there is nothing that separates my life from the life that God is. For there is only one life, and that life is the life that God is. And that life is perfect, and that life is my life now. God is expressing as each and every one of us. God is expressing as me right now. So there's nothing to fear. Nothing is opposing me. My new BFF is my spiritual practice. I welcome those areas of conflict, for it shows me and it reveals to me those places where I think other than the simple truth that God and I are one. God and I are one.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself.
And how grateful I am for our collective silence, where we have had an opportunity to anchor the truth that right where I am, God is, right where I am, love is, right where I am, peace is, right where I am, joy is, right where I am, power is, right where I am, harmony is. It is who and what I am. For it is indeed the qualities that we associate with God, with life. And there's only the one. And as I become centered in this truth, then everything unfolds in such a marvelous and beautiful way. I recognize that there's nothing opposing me, nothing against me, that there is no us and them, but that there is life and the way that it expresses in all its magnificence and all its beauty and all its creativity, and that I am a part of that. And that when conflict arises, I just recognize it as an opportunity to know the truth even more. So I simply set aside that which I think I know, that which I think is going to be the outcome, that which I think about the other person. And I simply rest in that center. I simply rest in that truth, in that love of God. And I become open and available to a greater knowing, a greater awakening, and a greater understanding of the great reality. So for this, I give thanks, and I remain eternally grateful. For it is already done in the mind of God, and we joyfully expect its manifestation here in physical form, in, through, and as our life. And so it is. Amen. Welcome back. I'd like to invite our ushers forward at this time. And as our ushers make their way forward, I'd like to invite you to simply remain conscious. And that as it is our conscious giving time, that you simply become grateful and thankful for something in your life. And that you hold your gifts, your tithes, your offerings, that you hold it close to your heart, and that you pour upon it your own blessing, knowing that we have been so richly blessed. We have been given all. And that as we receive, we become givers. And we simply redistribute our good, that others might experience their good as well. For there is one life, one power, and it is abundant. And we participate in the ebb and flow of this abundance. And so, ushers, I simply bless that which is filling these baskets, knowing that we use it for our programs, for our services, that we might keep these doors open, that those who come forth may recognize that their life is indeed the life that God is. Go forth. And as you give, you receive. It is now time to open your heart spaces and open up your ears and put a big smile on your face as we receive the wonderful music of Sunny Daye and Jim Bianchi.
Yeah, you can start clapping. Yeah. Try to see it my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can't go on? Try to see it your way. There's a risk of knowing that our love may soon be gone. We can work it out, yeah. We can work it out. Think of what you're saying. You can get it wrong and then still think that it's alright. Think of what I'm saying. We can work it out, set it straight or say goodnight. We can work it out, yeah. We can work it out. Life is very short and there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friends, yeah. I have always thought that it's a crime, so I will ask you once again, yeah, yeah. Try to see it my way. Only time will tell if I'm right or I am wrong. Try to see it your way. There's a chance that we might fall apart before too long. We can work it out, yeah. We can work it out, yeah, yeah. Woo, 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 yeah. We can work it out, y'all. We can work it out. Life is very short and there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friend. Oh, whoa, yeah. I have always thought that it's a crime, so I will ask you once again, yeah, yeah. We can work it out. We can work it out.
We can work it out.
We can work it out.
We can work it
We
out.
can work it out,
We
y'all.
can work it
We can work it out.
We can work it
We
out.
can work it out,
We can work it
yeah.
out.
We can work it out, yeah. We can work it out.
We can work it out.
Woo! Thank you.
Sunny Daye and Jim Bianchi.
Yes, Sonny.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Hey now.
Hey now.
All right. So the question posed to the community today is, what are you willing to see different about conflict in your life? I think that's pretty fair. What are you willing to see differently about conflict? Or what have you learned? Or how have you, what perspective can you now look at conflict? A new way compared to the old way? Maybe there's been an example of a conflict that you've had, or want to see it differently, or want to do it differently? There we go. Hello, beloved. Tell everybody your name.
Melissa, my name's Melissa. And yeah, conflict, it made me really think about something within myself that is holding back from being released. And so sometimes people come into our lives that we are forced to look at that conflict within ourselves, and we think it's an outwardly expression reflecting on them. when in fact it's something that we've got, we're in conflict with it within ourselves. And it really helped me to realize that a lot more clearly. And there have been a couple things lately that have been in that situation that have made me really look at the situation differently. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
You're welcome. Thank you. That reminds me of what you're talking about. It reminds me of the Course of Miracles. In the book, The Course of Miracles, it speaks to that we've made an agreement before we incarnated in these bodies. We've made an agreement with one another in spirit and in consciousness to rub each other the wrong way, to be the nemesis for one another so that we can be awakened because we forget. So it's almost like be kind to the nemesis, be kind to that person, because there was an agreement made before time that you were going to have that interaction, but it's simply for our growth and our unfoldment. It's not so that we can stay eternally in pseucity because of it, you know what I mean? Who else? Yes.
Hi, my name is Linda. Hi. And it's so interesting that you're talking about this tonight, because this has come up in my life too. And I've actually been taking it a step further into being grateful for whoever is coming into my life or whatever situation is coming up that's bringing that up in you. And it's been really interesting. The more I'm just, I know this is so much for my best and highest good. I am so grateful. And it shifts so much faster, and it gives you the answers, and it gives you words to say. Yeah. Because you have not only no conflict, but now you're even grateful for it. So,
We're growing up around here. One more. Thank you for that, Linda. Stand up, Moya.
Oh. My name is Moya, and as I've talked to you, Reverend Sunshine, before, I've been having an issue with some new neighbors of mine.
I haven't been reading anybody's mail.
No, but I've been having some issues with this new neighbor they're a little noisier than I would like them to be. And to try and make a long story short, I was blaming them for living. And what came up today was how much they're living out loud. And I don't mean like in a loud, but they're living. So much of what they're doing, and it's hard for me to even admit it to myself, they're doing what I want to do. They are, they're in their space authentically, whole, whereas I have a tendency to withdraw. And people might not think that, but I do. I tend to, I have a tendency to withdraw, and they're out there. And they're just living. And I see so many ways that I am not. And so through the talk, I realize, as much as I know that I'm going to move, they're also teaching me that I really need to get my act together and get moving, get living. So, yeah, that's my lesson, to get living with these people.
And it's amazing that you say that, Moya. Thank you for that, because it is about how we get to live authentically. And when we're not doing that, we're lying. We're a fake, a phony, and a fraud. Ask me how I know. We've been socialized and trained to think, we need to be quiet into our space. But, the joy of just living. We've been socialized and conditioned to think that we should not. Even in our own meditation, sometimes we think, we need to have the right quietness, and no. I meditate and I can hear the planes flying, the cars, kids screaming or doing whatever, and that is a reminder that life is happening. Life is happening. Okay, when we don't hear it, that's trouble.
So tonight, thank you very, very much.
My joy.
It's just like an extremely timely message. So I'm in a lot of conflict right now, and it's so interesting. Professionally, I solve conflict for people, and I can be in the heat of it most intense forms of conflict in personal relationships and business, and observe and hold space and keep peace for other people and guide them through that process. And admittedly, being in the midst of it myself in areas where there's a greater depth to it, it can be very, very intense. And I have a history of, in earlier chapters of life, going from those extremes that you were talking about earlier, from either running away or to a certain point acting out in violence. And most people have no clue that I'm capable of that see me and know me. And so now wrestling with that and with some personal things, I'm just acknowledging that I'm in it. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm aware on many, many levels that there's an opportunity to heal from this, and there's an incredible opportunity for growth. It's just interesting in the midst of it, and I'm very grateful again just to have this community to come and hang out at, and hear these intuitively accurate, relevant messages each week. You know, I'm on a roll here. It's like I'm at a craps table and I keep getting the exact message I'm supposed to get each week. But yeah, I know there's an incredible opportunity. It's just, as we're going through it, it's speaking from a personal experience, it's really interesting and challenging. And I'm grateful. I see opportunity for flow, yet at the same time, there's almost this automatic stuff that just can take over, and it's just, I have no conscious control over it, and it just runs on autopilot and can go to these places that I just didn't know that I was thinking, you know. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not through it all the way yet, but.
That's right. That's right. And we, you know, as a community, we go through this together. You know, as we share and are vulnerable with one another, as we say yes to listening and to putting ourselves out there, this week, continue to hold this community in prayer, that we are courageous enough to do and say that which we need to say and do so that we might grow and know our truth even more from another level. And to bring us home, what do you have to tell us tonight? Anything? Anything profound? You had a good time today? You went to the park, huh? What was your favorite thing that you did at the park today?
Swing on the swing.
Swing on the swing. Thank you. And when we swing on the swings of life, we know that it has its ups and downs, and there are some times where our stomach goes, whoa, and then there are some times where our stomach goes, wee! And we have an opportunity to feel both of those, especially when we're dealing or addressing conflict. That sometimes it's the wee, and sometimes it's the whoa. But you know what? Every week, get on that swing. Every day, get on that swing. I'd like to thank Melanie, Annette, David for holding the light for us, Rich for doing our CDs for us. Linda is acting as our coordinator tonight. Want to thank Jim and Sunny Daye for our music, and thank all of you for being here tonight with us. Our practitioner, and Jan, our practitioners are available for prayer in the chapel. It can be a prayer of gratitude, a prayer of joy, anything you want to pray about. And also coming up in our lobby as we exit tonight, we have some wonderful people who are staffing our table for our 25th silver anniversary. They have lots to share with you about ways that we can participate and really celebrate 25 years at Seaside and all that has come to fruition and where we're heading and where we've been and where we're going. And so please avail yourself to them. They're friendly. They won't bite. And they'll simply explain to you in a language that you understand all the opportunities that are available for us to participate in the celebration that's happening on October the 5th. So please join us in the family room for some beverages and some conversation, and don't forget to get your hugs from me. I got one for each and every one of you, maybe two for some. And Mello might mess with you too. All right. Without further ado, next week, our message is time for an eye exam, and I do mean EYE. So join us next week as we look at our eyes, and it's my joy to be here with you tonight.
Awesome. Let's sing out our prayer. Yes? This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see, with open hearts and open hands. We lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see, with open hearts and open hands. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand.
All right, meet you in the family room.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God unfolds us. The power of God protects us. Wherever we are, there is God. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God unfolds us. Power of God protects us. Wherever we are, God is always there. God is all there is, everywhere. Thank you. See you next week.